Hello, I'm Sheryl, and this is Sleep Tight, Relax, a calming bedtime show for the young and young at heart. In this story, Laylie, a young girl who has recently moved to Prince Edward Island, experiences her very first snow day. Accustomed to a warmer climate, she begins her day a little bit scared, unsure of the cold white blanket that covers her new world. But as the day unfolds, Laylie's fears are melted away by the kindness of new friends and the fun of crunchy snow. At school, Laylie's dream of tasting vanilla-flavored snow leads to a wonderful surprise when their teacher brings it to life with vanilla syrup. She creates snowflakes and shares stories with her classmates. At home, Laylie reflects on her day, sharing stories with her parents. The day ends with Laylie drifting to sleep, dreaming of her next adventure. Through Laylie's story, we learn about the beauty of embracing change, the warmth of friendship, and the magic that can be found when we experience something new. Before we listen to our story, let's get cozy and comfortable and spend some time getting relaxed. Make sure you are wrapped up tight because we will use our imaginations and think about snow. Close your eyes and picture a tiny snowflake gently landing on your nose. Does it tickle? Can you see how intricate and beautiful it is? You can, because you're calm and still, just like a quiet, snowy day. When you are ready, let's start by taking some great big belly breaths. Take a deep breath through your nose and imagine breathing in the crisp, fresh air of a snowy morning. Fill your lungs slowly and notice how your belly rises as you fill yourself up with air. Hold your breath ever so slightly and imagine a delicate snowflake sitting on your palm. Don't rush. It won't melt. Breathe in and breathe out. Notice how relaxing it feels as you release the breath. Let's do it again. Breathe in slowly. Hold your breath as you picture the snowflake. And then gently breathe out, sending the snowflake dancing into the sky. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. After a few rounds, when you are ready, you can return to your usual way of breathing. Now, let's continue with our story. Laylie wasn't used to waking up in silence. Back where she came from, mornings buzzed with warmth and chatter. Maybe they were a bit noisy, but recently, her room felt different. It was much quieter. Laylie blinked the sleep from her eyes and snuggled deeper under the covers. It was still early, and she wasn't in a rush. Here on Prince Edward Island, in a house that still smelled like fresh paint and cardboard boxes, Laylie was just starting to get used to new routines. She'd heard all about this place before the big move. It's peaceful, her parents had said, and the people are as friendly as they come. They weren't wrong. Laylie had already learned Mrs. McDonald's name next door, who had a smile as warm as the cookies she baked. But as much as Laylie wanted to fit in, everything here was so different. More layers to wear, more fluffy clouds than sun, and the mud was red. Where Laylie used to live, winter was just a word in storybooks, and snow was something you only saw in movies. Her old home was never too hot or cold, and the hot sun was a constant companion, spilling its golden light over everything. So when she peeked through her frosty window this morning and saw everything covered in white, Laylie felt like she had butterflies in her stomach. She had never touched snow before, never heard the crunch it made under boots. Laylie pressed her nose against the chilly glass, her breath fogging up the window pane. Laylie was the most imaginative girl in the world, and thought that outside, the world looked as if it had been dipped in sugar, like triangle-shaped donuts or Rice Krispie squares with frosting. The trees, blanketed in soft white, looked like chocolate trees covered in frosting, while the outside looked like some of her favorite treats and was just like what she had seen in books. She was worried. What if the ground was as slippery as the frozen pond in her storybooks? She imagined her feet flying out from under her, and her face frowned at the thought. The fears tumbled through her mind. What if she slipped on the hidden ice? What if the cold bit her fingers like the frosty monsters in her dreams? Laylie had always been the first to dip her toes in the ocean's edge, but this was different. This cold was not like the refreshing splash of sea waves. It was a silent, creeping cold that promised to nip at her nose and toes. From the kitchen, the smell of cinnamon and toasted bread slowly made its way up the stairs, and Laylie heard her mother call, "Breakfast, Laylie. Don't forget, it's a snow boot day." Boots for snow? The thought was as strange as needing an umbrella for sunshine. Her mother's voice climbed the staircase again, this time closer. "Don't worry, honey. I'll show you what to do. You'll be warm and snug as a bug in a rug." Her mother always had a way of making the unknown sound like an adventure waiting to happen. Laylie watched as her dad cleared a path from the door to the street, the snow piling high on either side like the frosting when she helped bake a cake. Laylie took a deep breath. "Snow," she said to her reflection. "Let's see if you're as cool as you look." With that, she stepped away from the window, ready to crunch and slide. Laylie grabbed the thickest pair of socks she owned and raced to the kitchen, where she ate her cinnamon-frosted breakfast at a record pace. After she finished, her mom appeared with a puffy jacket, snow pants, and boots so large that Laylie thought her feet might just swim in them. "It's like putting on armor," Laylie mumbled, a knight ready to battle the dragons of cold. Her mom chuckled and helped her suit up, tucking her little legs into the snow pants, each layer making Laylie feel more like a marshmallow than a girl. Once bundled, Laylie waddled to the door, her movements stiff and exaggerated. The door swung open, and a cold breath of air kissed her cheeks. She hesitated on the threshold, eyeing the snows sparkle with wariness. Then, with a deep breath that made a cloud in the air before her, Laylie took her first step. The snow crunched under her boot, a sound so satisfying it pulled a giggle from her lips. Navigating in her snow gear was like learning to walk all over again. Laylie took one cautious step after another, the snow compressing with a satisfying crunch. But her boots felt secure. Her toes wiggled inside them, warm and cozy. "I won't slip," she told herself, gaining confidence with each step. The snow wasn't as fearsome as she'd imagined. It was just another surface to conquer. Looking down at her feet, she saw the neat imprint her boots left behind, a trail of Laylie-shaped footsteps to school. She might not have been as light on her feet as she was in her old flip-flops, but with each step, she felt less like she was wearing snow gear and more like she was wearing a suit of honor bestowed upon her by the winter itself. And with each puffing breath in the chilly air, Laylie's amazing imagination took flight. She wasn't just Laylie on her way to school anymore. She was an explorer trekking through the Arctic, or a scientist on an expedition to study the mysterious snow. Or maybe this was armor she was wearing, and she was on her way to say hello to the winter dragon. She thought all of this by the time she reached the end of her driveway. Laylie was smiling, her initial worry buried under the excitement of this new, snowy adventure. With each new step feeling less daunting than the last, Laylie began her journey to school with a budding sense of bravery. The snow looked like a blank canvas for her boot prints. It was so pretty. She looked at the familiar path anew. Houses were gingerbread creations with icing roofs. Trees were people dressed in white gowns. And of course, everything looked like a frosted treat. Laylie had a sweet tooth. As she waddled down the sidewalk, more penguin than night, Laylie spotted other kids from her class, bundled up like colorful parcels, laughing and throwing snowballs. "Wait for me," she called out, her voice muffled by her scarf. A boy named Ethan, who sat behind her in class, waited and offered his mitten-clad hand. "I'll show you how to walk in the snow without falling," he said with a grin. Laylie placed her trust in those mittens, and together they shuffled forward, Laylie learning to find her balance on the slippy sidewalk. Ethan taught Laylie how to stomp, to pack the snow down and make a less slippery path. She discovered the joy of catching snowflakes on her tongue and the art of creating the perfect snowball. By the time the school came into view, her initial fears were forgotten, replaced by laughter and rosy cheeks. As they reached their school, Laylie felt a bit disappointed that the journey was over. She wasn't the new girl in a strange land of snow anymore. She was an adventurer, a snowball warrior, and, maybe, a soon-to-be snow angel artist. Ethan waved goodbye, promising another snowball fight after school. Laylie waved back, her heart warm against the cold. As she stepped into the school building, her boots leaving melting prints on the mat, she realized that snow was no longer a stranger. It was a friend that had made her first winter walk to school, a memory that would stick with her even after the snow melted away. At break time, Laylie got to go outside again. Her boots squeaked and squelched as she joined all her classmates playing, her nervousness disappearing the more she played. The air was crisp, filled with the sounds of kids yelling and the muffled impacts of snowballs finding their marks. She watched in admiration as her kids built snow creatures, their mittened hands rolling and patting until round, snowy bodies stood proudly on the playground. At lunch, tucked in the school's cafeteria, Laylie recounted her dream of vanilla snow. Her classmates giggled, imagining such a world. When they dared to scoop up some snow and taste it, their faces twisted in surprise. It tasted nothing like vanilla. Laylie felt her heart sink just a bit. But then, their teacher, having overheard the tale, brought out a small bottle of vanilla syrup. Drizzling it over bowls of fresh snow, she handed them to the kids, turning Laylie's dream into a yummy reality. During craft time, Laylie's imagination bloomed like the paper snowflakes she created with her classmates. Each snip of the scissors brought intricate patterns to life, a paper blizzard forming on the classroom walls. Then, she wove a tale of a lone snowflake's journey across the world, her classmates listening carefully. Later in the librarian welcomed them to a corner decorated with cottony snow and silver glitter, where Laylie lost herself in tales of Arctic adventures and the soft silence of falling snow. The walk home was a fun-filled procession with her friends through this new snow-covered world. At home, Laylie and her mother made a snowman, complete with a carrot nose and a jaunty old scarf. Then her mother introduced her to ice ornaments, showing Laylie how to fill balloons with colored water to freeze outside. She thought it was pretty cool when they peeled the balloons away later to reveal jewel-like orbs of ice, hanging them to catch the light. As it got dark outside, Laylie sat reading a book, sipping hot cocoa, her earlier fears a thing of the past. That night, nestled between her parents on the couch, she shared her day. She was especially excited about the vanilla snow. Later, as she lay in bed and the quiet of the night settled around her, Laylie's mind was a whirl of snowflakes. She had discovered the secret rhythm of walking on snow without slipping, the sweet taste of snow with vanilla, and the laughter that came from snow play and new friendships. As the whispers of the night lulled her deeper into sleep, she smiled, knowing the next morning would bring another page in her snowy story on Prince Edward Island, a story she was eager to write, one snowflake at a time. In her dreams that night, Laylie dreamt not of vanilla ice cream, but of snowflakes as big as her hand, and a world where she was no longer the new girl, but a snow princess in her own winter kingdom. If you are still awake, I would like you to whisper to yourself or just say it in your mind. I am brave and can find joy in new adventures, just like Laylie in the snow. I am creative, turning my dreams into playful stories and colorful crafts. Just like a snowflake, I am unique and special in my own way. I am calm, relaxed, and peaceful. Sleep tight.